Okay, so let's work on a proof here. So we see a shape here. It's essentially a triangle and another triangle. And first let's label the triangles as best as we can. So let's say NOP and R. Okay, so what this is telling us with these little curvature lines here is that we're saying that this angle here is congruent to this angle here. So they're the same angle. And then this angle here is congruent to this angle here. So the curves that match up in likeness are the same angles. They're congruent angles. So since that's given to us in the problem, let's put that in our given information. So we're given that angle NOP is congruent to angle NPO. So angle NOP is congruent to angle NPO. All right, what else are we given? Well, we're given that ROP is congruent to RPO. So let's put that. Angle ROP is congruent to forgot the angle symbol there. It's congruent to angle RPO. And then let's try to prove that angle NOR is congruent to angle NPR. Okay, so what we're trying to figure out is given these two pieces of information, can we prove that angle NOR is congruent to angle NPR? And we can. And essentially the way I'm looking at this now is I'm seeing that we know this full angle is the same as this full angle, and this smaller angle is the same as this smaller angle. And they're both pieces of each other. Since the two triangles are already overlapped, I essentially see that the two angles that we're trying to prove are congruent are a subtraction of each other. It's essentially a subtraction of this larger angle from this smaller angle from this larger angle. And then we're left with the two angles that we're trying to prove are congruent. So that subtraction property is something that we're probably going to have to use, and that's something that I can already tell. So let's start our proof. So just going to put proof here, and then we're going to write our statements. And our reasons. Okay, this is how we start our proofs. Okay, so first thing that we want to write in our statements is we want to put down our given information. So we'll put down our given information that NOP is congruent to NPO, and that angle ROP is congruent to angle RPO. So this is given, and this is given. Okay. And believe it or not, I think we can already determine from this information that the two angles are congruent. And this is because of a property. And that property I already mentioned earlier is the subtraction property. So angle NOR is congruent to angle NPR, the radio station, because if congruent angles are subtracted from congruent angles, the difference are congruent. So this is our subtraction property. Okay. So let's look over this one more time. If congruent angles are subtracted from congruent angles, so we see here that we're taking two congruent angles and we're subtracting them from two more congruent angles, then the difference of those two sets of congruent angles must be congruent, and that is what our subtraction property says.